What's going on, everybody? Hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful 4th of July. So, today on the About That Wallet podcast show, we will be talking about how you can actually beat inflation and watch your savings grow in the year 2024. Because we have a lot going on today. But first, let's go on and get to it because I do not want to hold you up any further than you need to know because you gotta get this show going. You know what I'm saying? We gotta get paid. We gotta get this money. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Let's get it going.
You're listening to the About That Wallet podcast. We'll be right back after these messages.
Even the best and the brightest this world has to offer have coaches and mentors. Build strong money-making behaviors by applying financial concepts and strategies with Anthony Weaver on the About That Wallet Show. It's time to get off the bench and get in the game. Now, here's your host, Anthony Weaver.
So, my name is Anthony Weaver, and we are back on the About That Wallet podcast show where we help you build strong financial habits so that you can feel confident when you're talking about money, spending money, and even saving money. So we are all about that money. But before we get to it, I'd love to actually give a shout out to everybody. First off, I want to say thank you for being here, listening to the show, whether or not you're listening to it on YouTube, X, Facebook, or even if you're driving. I mean, thank you guys for so much for downloading this episode. And I also want to celebrate as well that I've been doing this show for about 4 years now. And what I'll be going forward with this show is that I'm going to start getting rid of all those seasons and stuff like that that y'all see in the beginning. And I'm going to go ahead on and just start doing straight episodes because for one, I mean, I just like to roll with it. Let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it moving. And I just want to share the episodes as they are instead of doing the different segments and the different seasons because I'm not taking a break. And your money doesn't take a break. Your wallet doesn't take a break. Your wallet is always there and ready for when you are. And I want to make sure that the content is always there and ready for when you're needing this content, or even if you need to share this with somebody else. So let's go ahead on. And I'd like to start off with some things in the news. I think I got a little segment here. So in the news, breaking news with me, you guys gotta share that out. So what's happening today? We have quite a bit of things that's going on. Inflation is through the roof, okay? We have so much that's happening that we need to start figuring out what can we do to be better with our finances. And this is a time where we need to start focusing on the offense. We've been playing defense, but now we got to be strategic on trying to play in defense and offense at the same time. It's almost like a soccer match where you got to block the person from taking the ball away from you, but you also want to shoot the goal and actually move the ball forward, down. Pretty much, you got to move it down the field. And one of the ways you can do that, let me just go ahead on and knock this out because one of the things that is happening in the news, and I think I want to share this with you, and this is coming from Yahoo Finance. Let me go ahead on and get that video for you all because a lot has been going on in Yahoo Finance that I think it's interesting, but really what I'm going to talk about this because some of you guys are watching this, listening to this via audio only. And what I have here on my screen is called 8 Things the Middle Class Should Consider Downsizing to Save on Monthly Expenses. Now, you're like, Anthony, what are we talking about? I thought we were talking about how to beat, how are we supposed to beat inflation? And you're talking about downsizing. Like, this is the opposite of what we were just supposed to be talking about. However, when it comes to downsizing, we want to start looking into how are we really maximizing our full potential. Because, one of the strategic things about downsizing is that you're actually building these simple strategies. This is going to be a simple one that's going to be hard for you to do, but it's going to be a winner at the end of the day. So let's see what they have to say here on Yahoo, and let's get to it.
idyllic picture.
Let's see.
The American middle class is an idyllic picture of a family living in the suburbs, adults that work hard but make time to barbecue on the weekends and have at least one vacation a year. But in recent years, economists are seeing signs that this once dominant class of people are losing ground. So what does it look like to be middle class across America? Our very own Rochelle Akufo is here with some of the data. Rochelle, what have you found?
I mean, we know that we're going to hear a lot about the middle class, especially as we head into the political season. But there are good reasons why the middle class don't feel as if they're doing well financially, despite what the GDP or inflation data is saying. And there are three things to consider: your location, your household incomes, and previous generations. So as we use the latest census data from 2022, the real median household income nationally was $74,580. So think of that then with that location, with that amount in mind. Now, location as a baseline, when you're calculating who's in the middle class, it's typically defined as households making 2/3 to double the median income of residents in your state. So keep in mind that factors in higher income, lower income, the whole picture here. So when you dig into individual state data, household incomes where you see states where you have to earn the most to be middle class, well, if you live in New Jersey, Maryland, or New Hampshire, you're up here. New Jersey, looking at the low range of being considered middle class, $64,231 to the high range of $192,000, $192,692. Maryland, similarly, 63,000 at the lower range, almost 190,000 at the higher range as well. And then looking at New Hampshire, looking at 59,995 to about 179,984. So if you think those six figures aren't stretching as far as they used to, it does depend on where you are. Now, the states where you're actually the closest to that national median household income, well, that's looking at Utah, Alaska, and Idaho. And there you see between 51 and 53% of the population are middle class earners. Now, the South as a region have the lowest median household incomes, with the majority of the middle class range there looking at the middle to high 50,000. So when you think of that range of where the high 50,000s in the South versus being close to $200,000 in Maryland, New Jersey, and New Hampshire, that is why, especially in those states, you're really feeling the pinch more. You're not feeling like you're in the middle class.
Yeah, absolutely, Rochelle. So how have previous generations fared? And I feel like I know where this is going.
I mean, you always hear those anecdotal stories where, you used to be able to buy, a can of Coca-Cola for a nickel. Those times are long gone. And I mean, Pew Research data shows that the size of the middle class has actually been shrinking steadily since the 1970s and at a faster pace than upper income households have been growing. And then when you compare previous generations in the US versus other countries, according to the OECD, each new generation in the US has been even less likely to join the middle class than other OECD member countries, which tend to be these higher earning economies and do include the US. And then when you factor in other ways that we compare our lifestyles on social media without knowing the debt and the financial strains behind the scenes, while you're struggling to pay for groceries, that alone, you can't even feel like you can treat yourself. These are some of the reasons why all the economic gains that you hear about, people aren't feeling them to the same degree in every state, Brad.
Finger snaps for that one. Absolutely. Don't compare yourself to someone else on social media. You don't know exactly what's going on behind the lens as well.
Oh man, so he is exactly right. So when it comes to looking at people behind the lens, behind social media and stuff like that, things are really grim for a lot of people. However, we got to portray that things are going peachy because we have to sell the life that most of the people that are following them want to consume. So keep that in mind when you're actually looking at somebody's portfolio or looking at how they treating their stocks and stuff like that. This thing is something that you need to be aware of. The middle class is shrinking. You need to actually start figuring out things. And this episode is to talk about the secret weapons that you already have to fight inflation. I mean, let's get it. Let's understand that, the stock market isn't everything. It's not just about that. Then you got to start thinking about the simple strategies to help you make money, work harder for you. And then also, I'm going to leave you off with some actionable tips to help protect your savings and watch them grow. But I want to give you another example of how in the world, when when it comes to your job. You be like, okay, well, that's nice that I know the medium income, but how can I start making more money? How can I start moving myself up to that next level to start making more money so that I'm not feeling the pinch as hard as I can? Now, this is one of the strategies or secret weapons that you already have at your disposal to fight it, which means that you have a pen and paper, you know your skill set, you know you should know your value. And one of the ways to understand your value is actually update your resume. Okay, that should be number one. Look at your resume, update it. Take advantage of your current job because your current job will actually provide you the skills to help you move on to the next level. Granted, they might not be paying you well. Look at the other things that they can do to kind of help promote your growth internally, meaning yourself internally, so that you can start taking it to the next job. One of the things you want to look for is looking for certifications. Do your job pay for those certifications? Is there a way you can leverage your skills? So if you're a teacher, like I was, one of the things that I found out as a teacher, you're great at project management. You know how to not manipulate people. You know how people actually operate under pressure. You understand the different personalities that people have. You have to come up with the plans of attack or plans of actions and milestones for each child. So that's called a poem for those of you who are not familiar with the term. And understanding what that means for them is how you actually can move forward in your career. Now, the thing I'm about to share with you this video is from CNBC Make It. One of the CEOs mentioned this thing right here is called "It's Okay Not to Be the Smartest Person in the Room," says this tech CEO. So let's listen to what he has to say.
Lombard. I'm the CEO of NTT Data here in Asia Pacific. And here are my biggest lessons. Your career is a marathon, not a sprint. Your career is like a marathon. When you run a marathon, there are often ups and downs. There are tough times, tough moments, easier moments. So there's the full range of feelings during a marathon, in the same way it is during your career. So it's really important to make sure that you look after yourself, that you can have your career and manage your career over the long term. So what do? I look after my physical health. I make sure I look after my mental health, and I try and keep that balance in my life. So just taking time out to make sure that you've got time in your calendar to exercise, having time out to look after, to spend time with family and friends, and really enjoy life and to smell the roses. So very important to think of your career like running a marathon. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room. So remember, when you're building a team, to surround yourself by really smart people. Always employ people that actually you think are smarter than you are. Some of the best decisions that organizations have ever made have come from people challenging the status quo within the company. People who haven't just accepted what everybody else says is the way we've always done things. And it's those smart people that will often do that. So really important to always surround yourself with really smart people. Diversity drives profitability. So it's really important to build teams that come from a variety of different backgrounds. You want to avoid groupthink as much as possible. It's been proven time and time again that having people with different backgrounds, experiences, cultures, genders drives profitability because people think differently and it creates really good outcomes and decision making. So that's why I always say diversity drives profitability. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. So many years ago, as a young consultant, I had the opportunity to work in the Asia Pacific region. And I had to move out of Australia to do that. So at the time, it was in the late 90s, and Asia was going through the Asian financial crisis, as it was called at the time. And I had an opportunity to go and work on a project in another country. And it really put me in a position where I was very uncomfortable. I didn't speak the language. I had to learn a new culture. It was in an industry that I was unfamiliar with. So it really was a big risk, and it really was something that put me in that difficult position. But it was a great experience. So that opportunity to be uncomfortable was incredibly important. So get comfortable being uncomfortable.
I want to pause that and share my take on that, because one of the things is that in order for you to grow, you need to be uncomfortable. Think about a seed. When it's trying to push through the dirt, it has to find its rooting first. It has to get its roots out there before it even push through the surface. Majority of the time is having that ability to understand, hey, what is going on in your life? You need to be uncomfortable in order to find your place and where it needs to be and actually grow within that. I always find myself as either the first black, or just usually the only black person in the room majority of the time. But I'm okay with it because I've already gotten comfortable being uncomfortable. I've gotten comfortable being the only person there. It's lonely sometimes. And it's also lonely when you're the only person that likes to talk about finances in your circle. So, for those of you who know, Lisa and Prez, I mean, thank you guys for coming through. And for those of you who are watching on X and so forth who haven't chimed in yet, one of the things that you guys know, I just want to say thank you again. But being uncomfortable learning about finances and being uncomfortable being yourself truly is one of those things that the reason why people hire you in the first place. So these are the things that you want to start looking into. Let's go on and continue on this segment. It's like a minute left with this guy.
Always prepare. So make sure you prepare in any situation. You should never go into a client meeting unprepared, or into an employee presentation or a town hall meeting without proper preparation. The greatest sign of respect you can give anyone or any organization,
or even a YouTube channel, because it be sometimes I do not be prepared, and it's hurtful for me, but also I look at it as this is my duty to you all, is to be prepared. And there's the 5 P's. It's called proper preparedness prevents poor planning, and that's the mean poor presentation. There we go. And that's the way how you're supposed to look at it. If you guys want me to say it again, that's fine. Or you could just pause it and rewind. But these are the things that what he's talking about is for any job, anything that you're putting your name on it, you want to make sure you're fully prepared. And even prepared regarding the feedback that you get, because a lot of people are horrible at receiving feedback. When I mean that they're horrible, meaning, hey, you go out, put out a question like, hey, how does this look? How does this project look? How did my work do today? And they was like, oh, this you're this is the best you got. It looks crappy. The person that could be giving you that feedback could be a supervisor, a leader, or something like that, or someone that you actually have to report to, giving you that horrible feedback. These are the things that you need to start being prepared for. And how do you prepare for that is by expecting the worst. And if it's not the worst that it could be, hey, it's another day. But also take yourself out of that role that's not attacked directly to you. It is more so talking about the work itself. Saying like, hey, if the toast is bread, like the toast is burnt, then you got to say the toast is burnt. You can't say, oh, you did a good job. No, it's burnt toast. Like, I'm not going to eat that. Go back, try it again, get another piece of toast. Like, I'm using toast as an example, but not to say that it's you. It's just saying that your end result and what you're presenting is not the best that you can do. So you want to start thinking about that too. Prepare yourself for the feedback that you're receiving. And this will have a huge impact on how you actually approach life in general. And it has helped me out tremendously when I'm getting my feedback on the work that I've done for the quarter and saying like, oh, Anthony, you did a good job here, but you need some work here. I did a horrible job presenting to the leadership this week. So we're going to have you take a step back, take this class right quick and go on. It's nothing. I take it as no offense. I say like, hey, you know what? I really did drop the ball on this one. I wasn't prepared. I should have went to do this, or I could have did some other things differently, but I did with what I could at the time that I had. And you can come with all the excuses that you want. Majority of the time it's like, hey, how can we get better? And that's ultimately what you want to look at. Is the reason why you ask the questions in the first place is how do you get better? So let's continue on.
is to show that you are prepared. understand about their industry, understand some of the challenges that they're facing. Make sure that you're aware of what's going on and the context of any discussion that you're going to have. So always prepare.
All right. So that is the third video that I wanted to share today. But also, you know what I'm saying? So we talked about being prepared. We talk about how the middle class is shrinking because of inflation. We talked about how to make sure that your money is doing what it's supposed to do, and actually how you're able to actually make some more money. So some of you be like, well, what the heck is inflation? How did it all start, and what's going on? So I did a little bit of research. I'm gonna say very little research. And again, this is called a preparedness for this particular topic, but I just wanted to share this with you all so that you all know as well. So inflation has been a consistent companion throughout history, whether money has been used. It's not something a single person or entity started. So I got a little bit of breakdown from ancient times. You know what I'm saying? So back in the day, you know what I'm saying, you had your rubies, your rocks, whatever. And they used to the barter system. So like, hey, so if you live near the river, you got some fresh fish. I'm like, cool. You know what I'm saying? Can I get like a dozen fish? And I'm over inland and I probably got like some strawberries or something. I was like, all right, look, I got 2 bushels of strawberries. Can I get like 2 dozen of fish? Whatever. That's how we're going to change and exchange funds and so forth. But then imagine if I had a bad harvest that time frame and the strawberries, it's not strawberry season. And I'm like, hey, I know you really like these strawberries, but in order for you to get some of these strawberries, I know your fish is coming up. Like, the price has gone up now. I need like a baker's a baker's dozen, which is like 13 fish now, in order for you to get the same bushels of strawberries, or I might need 2 dozen. This is just inflation because it's out of season. The other thing is let's think about like the rise of money. So people was like, all right, cool, I got the dollar bill now. I ain't gotta give you my harvest anymore. I got these paper dollars that are backed by the government. Be like, hey, it's a little easier to track and it's more centralized. So you got like a centralized bank, and the government can print as much money as they want to without disturbing the supply and demand. But they actually do, because when there's not much money, but you still got the same product, how you gonna make that happen? And this is where things is coming up to the modern times now, where it's like, you seeing day to day, you can buy I used to use this like a bag of chips. I actually use gas. Let's talk about gas for a moment. Because here in Maryland, the only reason why I started riding bikes was because I remember when gas went up to like $2 and I think it went up to like $1.60. And I was like, let me take $60 and go buy me a bike from Kmart. I'm not sure if you guys remember Kmart. Man, Kmart was the stop and shop right there. So I went to go get a bike from Kmart. It was only like $60. I was like, cool. This will save me. I say if I ride my bike for every day for like 2 weeks, I can actually pay myself back. It pays off the bike. So I'm like, cool, all right. Got the $60, ride my bike to school, riding it to work and everything like that. I gained a lot of muscle and a lot of lung capacity, because I mean, driving up and down the street, going to school and work, it was a lot. But I just gave in. I was like, you know what, now whatever. So now the price of gas is like $4 and some change, and I think a price per barrel is about, if I'm please correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's about like $95. It's getting close to 100 again, but it's just crazy. Hold on. So you mean to tell me StreamYard is able to accept messages from X now? Oh man, this is great. Come on through. So let's see what we got here. We got neighborhood finance guy. What's going on, sir? Haven't seen you in a while. You say inflation is simply supply and demand. The more supply and low demand, the cheaper the price pressure. Um, the cheaper the price pressure downward. The less supply and more demand, the higher the price pressure. That's a good way. Thanks for simplifying it. A little easier than the way how I'm explaining it. But yes, we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Because you have to understand that how this all works in order for you to actually defeat it. And the way how you to defeat it is that you need to become more in demand. So how are you able to be more in demand so you can actually make impact to your bottom dollar? And that is either creating a skill that's in more in demand. So when you start looking at those jobs that are being replaced by robots, for those of you who haven't heard, there's a lot of, I should say, hospitality jobs are being replaced by robots. When it comes to vacuuming the floors, they don't come to your hotel rooms to even change the sheets as often. They was like, "Hey, you're here." Instead of us sending somebody up to change the sheets, we'll do it like every 3 days. So if you're only there for like 3 days or so, they'll just change the sheets on the third day when you leave. You just keep the sheets as that you have on. The towels and everything like that, they can do those on their own. Even your room service is being changed because they have the robots coming down to your door to actually deliver your towels or deliver your food that you ordered. So these are the things that you need to start thinking about. It's like, how are you actually adding value to these other jobs that you have? And one of the skills right now is that you need to find something that's in demand. One of the jobs that I noticed that will never go out of demand, especially with a human touch, is the HVAC system, plumbing. You got logistics can be done without the human element, mostly because it's mostly computer based and like based on like accidents and all the data that we have in the US. These things can actually be changed. However, you still need somebody to design it, to control it. And remember, when it comes to these products, it's junk in, junk out. So you really need to make sure you know what you're talking about before you even start utilizing these tools. Okay, see what else we got here. It say although already in decline, the US lost control of imports and exports due to the growing middle class global, i.e. China, India, and South America. Basically, the age of cheaper prices in the US is long gone. Now, that is interesting to say because these are claims. I mean, don't have anything right now on paper to kind of show that paper trail because it will be a whole nother investigation. So, sir, if we want to do a full show, we can actually do a full show, find all the paperwork, and let's do a full episode about researching how that that actually came about. How did the U.S. lose control of import? And that's what I want to keep my live shows to. It's actually do more of the how tos. How did things happen? How come things the way they are because of what we go through? And then you said, for example, again, I'm reading a comment here from the neighborhood finance guy. If you haven't followed him already, please do on X. He's on YouTube and on Instagram, and he's putting out a lot of content. And congrats on your $1 million. Uh, I think you have $1 million saved up from your investments now, and I was just say congrats to you for doing that. So let's see what else he got on here. So he says, for example, recently Chinese people started to like drinking coffee. Cost of coffee will go up since you're introducing at least a billion to global demand, which is interesting because that's one of the markets that they more than likely want to tap into. However, you got to think about where they're getting these coffee beans, what type of coffee beans are going on. Also, you need to start looking into what other uh, projects or areas that are being investigated. Remember, this is a global economy. There is no longer just a local economy. I mean, it's there. However, you got to trace it all the way back to its source. When you start thinking about chocolate, where's the chocolate coming from? Where's the cocoa beans are coming from? How are they actually being transported? What ships are they going to be put on? Whose ships are they going to put on? Which country ships are they going to be put on? Then you got to think about, okay, well, what ports are they going to come into to the US to get to your local market? Are they actually coming in through the part of Baltimore? Are they coming in through California? Are they coming in through Mexico? Are they coming in through Texas or any parts of the water that's coming through. Then you got to think about, all right, well, now that they're there, what train system are they going to ride on? Who are they going to utilize first? Then you got to look at the crane system. So they already on the trains. Then you got to look at the local distributors, as far as the trucks, and then from the trucks to the warehouses, and which warehouses distribution going to the local chocolate factories. Then from those factories to smaller institution companies, and how they're going to melt down the chocolate and then utilize that chocolate for like candy bars. Because Mars is located, if I'm not mistaken, in Pennsylvania. Then you have some other big chocolate companies, like obviously Hershey's in Pennsylvania. You can actually go to the Hershey amusement park and check that out. Which they and luckily they live near a big dairy farm. I think it's called they have a dairy farm out there. I wanted to go to their ice cream place. Friendly's. I think it's Friendly's. Friendly's farm, I think, that they have. And because they next to a dairy farm, could you imagine that they looking for, okay, well, we got raw chocolate. Let's make it milk chocolate. They can actually partner with these other farmers who's making the milk. That's making the milk chocolate. Like when you go down that rabbit hole and look at the logistics from raw to refine to actually at your table, that you're able to like from what store you purchase it from to it actually being on your table. These are the things that I want you to start thinking about when you want to take your when you start doing your research, and the way how you can actually look at your current job. Look at it as a business when it and goes back to how are you actually looking at the value that you're adding to a business. Either you helping them make some money, or you helping them strategize to make more money, or you're saving them money in some form of fashion. Those are the three things that you have to be able to offer when you come into a table. So when you look at these interviews, you got to figure out what value add are you going to give them. How did you actually help another business either gain or you figure out a way to strategize for them to make, you know, uh, the employees either work faster, the employees to work smarter? How did you manage to turn $10,000 to 100 grand? You need to start looking at how that you were able to add that type of impact to the job. Now, when I go to pitch for a job, because I like IT and that's kind of what I love to do, I usually say like, hey, well, I was able to, take a very poor morale business to now everybody's excited to come to work, produce more, and actually are able to turn things around a lot faster than what they were before. Granted, I'm leaving out a lot of detail because it really depends on the question and depends on the job that I go for. But these are the things that you need to start thinking about when you're going for these interviews and when you're going for these jobs, and looking at it as a business, because you as a person is a business. Are you in demand right now? Are you, disrupting the supply chain? Like, how can you strategize this particular company? And it goes back to what the guy was saying. It's like, did you do your research? Did you prepare for this interview? Did you figure out what the CEO wants? What does the CTO wants? Keep want to say certified, the chief technical officer. What do these people want to grow their business? And are you the right person to fit that billet? Okay. And with that being said, when we're talking about supply and demand, I do want to share this. Oh man, things were playing. Okay. Let me see if I can find this video right quick to make sure that y'all can see this, because this is talking about the supply and demand for your community. And there's one guy, his name is, I think it's Nikki Crawford. Yeah, Nikki Crawford, where he used a school bus to actually, um, help people just wash their clothes as a mobile thing. I did not know that this was a need. And I'm like, well, let's see what he got to say. Let me unmute and play.
New at 5, Atlanta is home to more than a quarter of the state's homeless population. And with a backlog of evictions in Fulton County, more people are becoming unhoused every day.
That's right. But one man here is using his retirement to make sure that those people who end up on the streets still have access to basic human necessities. And 11 Alive's Brittany Kleinpeter shares how he is using his own time and his own money to make a difference.
Once we put them in, I use this detergent.
What some may consider a chore.
The washers here put easily 3 pairs of pants, maybe some t-shirts and underwear in.
Is everything Nikki Crawford has been dreaming of.
And I gave them my vision. They designed it.
With the help of a student-led engineer team from Georgia Tech, this school bus is now a fully functioning mobile laundry room meant for those living on the streets.
What we're trying to do is get them clothes that they can have for the course of the week so that they can change clothes, because a lot of time it's not them that smell, it is the clothes.
The idea came about a few months into the launch of Crawford's shower trailer, which has been a place of relief for so many living on the street for years now.
I tell them, when you come here, this is a family environment. We want you to come here, feel comfortable, get you something to eat, get you a shower.
And Nikki hasn't just stopped there. He's created a community about meeting people where they are, from getting folks haircuts to health checks to even a hot meal.
So we need smoked chicken, baked beans. And that's what we're doing for the folks. These people just want, not necessarily a handout, but a hand up.
This one-stop shop coming together with the help of a little magic. The Atlanta business loaning out their parking lot to the outreach today.
That's one of my regular guys.
All of this showing that with a little compassion.
Why I do this? Because I have been blessed.
Acceptance and love.
I've always had a love for people that were less fortunate, because, as I think I told you, other than the grace of God, it could be me.
Change can happen. Brittany Kleinpeter, 11 Alive News.
So I go to show that, again, it's like, what is your impact? And ultimately is why you're doing what you do. So I want to leave that with everybody today is, think about ways that you can actually beat inflation. Think about the ways that you can continue to have your savings grow. And please share in the comments or in below, whatever, because I think we should open this dialogue a little bit more to understand, like, hey, you're not stuck with your current employer. There's always going to be growth, but always there's going to be somebody out there against you, whether or not it's society or if it's the people that are your neighbors, your friends, your church friends. There's always going to be something against you, but you need to make sure that you're resilient, you're flexible, you know your worth, and that you're able to take things to the next level when you need to, because you are about that wallet. Now, keeping that in mind, we need to make sure there's a couple things that I want to talk about before we end this live, which is that you need to start looking into high yield savings accounts. That is a number one, another way to actually help beat inflation. And the way to do that is to just start one. You can start it with $5 and so forth. I think I could put a link to the one that I use. I do not want to sponsor anything like right now, because one of the things is that, I want you to choose based on what you like. And I do have a couple that I'll recommend, I'll say to check out. I will put those referral links in the show notes. Let's see what we got here. Lawrence, what you say here? Lawrence, you say beat inflation through investing. The quote, Scott Galloway. Oh yeah, Scott Galloway. You can excel in a capitalist economy without buying capital. That's one way of doing it. Okay, let's see. Lisa J. Stocks, thank you for stopping by. You say you're currently using Discover. I never checked out Discover for their high yield savings accounts. Matter of fact, since you guys got time, let's see high yield savings account. Let's see Discover. I'm gonna pull it up so everybody can see. And let's see where we at. All right, so we're gonna look at this, not Discovery Channel. Discover. There we go. Let's see, banking. Now, for those of you who are new to looking at like banking, every bank has something called rates. I learned this in middle school, actually. They did this a lot. Happy 4th. Yeah, happy 4th of July, everybody. Independence Day. To those of you who are listening in the US and to all of us. So let's see. Let's check out their rates. I like checking out the rates. Let's see what they have. Rates. Will savings rates, best HELOC rates. I hate when they do this. Usually they just have a link that says rates. Like, why are they being so difficult? They got the online banking products. How much are their rates? This is irritating. Okay, here we go. The importance of banking. So they got the 1% cash back up to $3,000 in debit card for purchases. They had the 4.25% APY. Now that is really cool with the online savings account. CDs, certificate of deposits. For those of you who are not familiar with those, you actually got to pay a what's the name? You have to pay like some type of penalty if you actually withdraw those a little early, but it's okay though. So let's say you got Discover at 4.25%. That's not bad, and there's no monthly fee. Insufficient funds fee is 0 and minimum deposit is 0. So that's what I'm saying. Like you can start these accounts for only like $5. Let's see. I'm gonna look at another one. Let's see, like you said Ally. Prez, you said Ally Bank. Let's check out what they got here. Let's see. Oh, Ally at 4.2%. That's pretty cool. All right, let's see if they have any what do they got here? What did they do the comparisons? Oh, they actually do a little comparison here. So they comparing themselves to the bigger banks. We all know the bigger banks got 0.01%. Some of them I've seen at 0.1%. Most of the black-owned banks, I think it's One United Bank does 0.1%. And I think for students, I think they do 0.4%, if I'm not mistaken. The last I checked last week. Let's see. Lawrence, you say at 3% inflation, people have to stretch themselves beyond the HYSA. It's costly to be average nowadays, especially when the S&P or Standards & Poor's 500 is pulling nearly 15% year to date. Now, Lawrence, I'm going to challenge you on that one. So think about the people who don't have enough money to even keep their lights on and so forth. So it's good that they know that it's possible to invest. However, always try to make sure that people have enough to take care of at least 1 month expenses and try to find their hidden money. But also, let's start playing some of that offense and help them make more money. So, yes, you're correct when it comes to that compounding interest that, the percentage rates are a little higher in investing. However, it's good to have a good peace of mind. And remember, when it comes to investing, to find a fiduciary brokerage firm that will help you out. And fiduciary meaning that they are not taking commission to provide you advice to assist you with that. So, with that being said, when it comes to investing, we talked about it. I talked on somebody else's show, but usually you want to do around like maybe 5 to 10% of your money as far as investing until you start saving up enough where you already have like a yearly expense already saved into either a high yield savings account, such as, Ally, Discover, and another bank that I do like. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of it, which is Marcus Bank. Um, and Marcus Bank is by Goldman Sachs. Let's see. So Marcus Bank is at 4.4% APY. So this is another one. Again, they are outbeating so many people. And I just found out about another bank that is doing 5% right now. Let me see if I can get that up here for you guys to see, because I really want to make sure that you all have everything that's necessary at your disposal. And this one is called Wealthfront. I'm not sure if any of you all heard of Wealthfront. Let's see. So Wealthfront, share this one. So again, these things are so simple to get started. This one is actually doing that 5%, right? And then when you have your referral code, because most of these banks have referral codes, they will give you additional 5% on for each person that you invite to join these different accounts. So I myself, I personally have tried Marcus, and I'm thinking about switching over to Wealthfront just because of that 5%. And I will definitely be having that referral code out there, because when you use these referral codes that a lot of us have, they will actually give you the additional, I think it's what, 0.5% on top of the 5%. So when you sign up, you actually get something, and vice versa. So everybody's a win-win deal. So these are easy ways to try out different banks to help you with that inflation. All right, everybody. So that is one of the things that I did want to leave you all with. And if you have any additional tips, please drop them in the comments. I want to thank everybody for coming through and continue on to learn more about that wallet, because this is what we do. And if y'all have any topics that y'all want me to follow up on or go deeper dive in for 2024, please let me know. And I will do some research to be prepared for the oncoming one. All right, let's see what Lisa says here. I'm getting 4.4, getting 4.9 to 5.1% in my brokerage account. Fidelity, Webull, Moomoo. Hey, I love Moomoo. I actually met them in person at FinCon in 2022, and I was meeting with Keenan, Laurie, Mo, and Mo's wife. They were actually at the at FinCon, so I actually took a picture with them. They're actually pretty cool. So let's see. In money market accounts, rates and better discover than high yield savings account. Yes. So yeah, you'll get better investments and stuff like that percentage wise in your investment accounts. But I'm just trying to help people to start beating the inflation by at least putting some money away. You're guaranteed this money for the meantime, so that you can actually, if you're cool enough and smart enough, you can use your interest that you actually gain from these high yield savings accounts and use those to investments, so that you actually can do both. That'll be one way of doing it. In Orlando, I was, oh, you would, how do we not meet each other? That is a small world. That is a small. Oh no. So if you're going to FinCon this year, I will make sure I'll take a photo with you so that we can have it for the gram. Okay. Prez, don't be laughing too hard. Y'all laugh too hard in the comments, okay? All right. Anyway, y'all have a good one. Lisa, I'll definitely see you if you're going to Atlanta. I'll see you then. And I know there's a delay, but anyway, all right. I'm done. I'm done for day. I'm gonna get some rest because I still gotta go to work tomorrow. Trying to find out how to get beyond this inflation myself. I'm getting there, but one day I'll be able to do this full time. Then I can hang out with you guys all day. All right. I hate long goodbyes, but it's one anyway. See you guys. I'm out. Peace.